How's it going, YouTube? My name's ElbenNinja7, your resident Mistweaver monk. And guys, today we're going to be taking on a plus 19 Waycrest Manor. This is audio, like I am talking after I've done the key. That way I can really focus on what's going on more instead of trying to talk and play at the same time. Right here, you're going to see this was my first key of the week. So all of that IO that you see on the screen was gained last week, the first week of the tier. And right here is when I am just now learning of the affixes. Right there, we hit a 7 stack of bursting, and I didn't even know it was bursting week. I wasn't prepped, but luckily I love bursting week. I find it very challenging, and I just think it's a very fun week because it makes you think differently and, you know, save your cooldowns for the end of packs, as you'll see that I do that a lot here. But one thing that you might have also picked up on is that I also have the new weapon. I believe it's one of the Dawn of the Infinites where you get the weapon. But it's basically just like an execute weapon. You press it kind of like a trinket and it'll just do a big slam of damage. Unfortunately, if you're wanting to see that weapon play out or how it plays, you won't see it here in this VOD. I literally did not even know how it worked. I thought I was pressing it because I macroed it to my touch of death. And I was pressing it. I was like, why is it doing no damage? Like, is this weapon just bad or bugged? I'll go ahead and tell you, it is not. It is amazing. It slams huge numbers. I just didn't know that you had to hold it down, basically. So, but there, you see we cleared out that first little corridor. This dungeon, by the way, is one of my favorites this tier. I mean, this dungeon alone is why I love this tier. You see there, I feylined, and then I kind of hung back because I didn't know that we were going to be moving this way, but luckily I got a very quick reset, so I didn't have to like send a bunch of abilities and stay back trying to cast like a chi burst, shoot a chi burst, trying to get a reset, but... yeah, I love this dungeon because I love the audio, mostly. That's most of it. But the atmosphere, the aesthetic, all of it is great. And the gameplay is not too bad. Like, none of the bosses are super unlikable. But here we come up to the Triad. And on this boss, we fare, like, extremely well. If you know anything about the Chi build, you know that it peaks. Like, its most optimal use is 3-target cleave. And oh, baby, is this a 3-target cleave fight. How did I just say that? I think I just like stuttered a little bit. But anyways, you know that we do very good funnel damage, which if you don't know the difference between cleaving and funnel, cleaving is when your goal is to hit as many people as you can. I guess that's a bad way to say it. Basically, if you're trying to hit 3 people at once, that's cleaving. But if you really truly only care about damage into one target, like right here we have a skull, so I don't care how much damage I'm doing to the other 2 guys. I just hope that the damage that I'm doing to them, like the blackout kick cleaves, do funnel more damage into skull by giving me more chances of rising sun kick resets. So a good example is if we wanted to kill these 3 bosses evenly, I would cleave. So I would just maybe tiger palm, blackout kick, tiger palm, blackout kick, you know, do that, like not rising sun kick. But since we're funneling, since we care more about that priority damage, we do that very well because rising sun kick is a unit. And then in these 3-target cleaving scenarios where our ancient teachings is stronger, that also means that our chi is a lot stronger. So I love this dungeon, and I think we're very well equipped. We don't have a curse dispel, but you know, we got some big pumping heals that we can just get through that curse with. And that's kind of the only scary part of the fight, as long as you kind of stick to the right target. And I mean, they kind of announce themselves, tell you which one to go on next. But yeah, for the most part, this week is honestly, I can see how this week is a little scary. Luckily, we don't have to deal with freaking Sanguine, man. Sanguine is always just obnoxious. So having Sanguine out of the way week 1, it sucked that we had to go through it week 1. But man, it makes all these other affixes feel like walks in the park, really. But you'll see how I deal with bursting a lot is since we don't have, like, since things are dying, we have a lot less ancient teachings value. But I really try to preserve my revival, which right there, I'm pretty sure I just used it. My editing software is being very laggy, but I use it there because we reach a good number of stacks. But I usually only use revival if we hit like 5+ stacks, or if we're at like 4 and someone has like a toxin on them that's going to do a lot of damage. You really want to preserve your revival, and you can do that by Dispelling often. So if you see like everyone's at 2 stacks and you're about to get low, or you're about to get more, then just dispel someone, get those 2 stacks off of them. That way, once everyone else bumps up to 4, they'll stay at 2. And, just easy math like that. Just dispel often. Don't only mass dispel. It's also a single dispel mechanic. But you see there, my Shaylun's Gift, I got booped. And I don't know if I would have died or if someone would have died if I didn't get Lay on Hands by the Paladin. But that Lay on Hands, I remember thinking in the moment, I was like, was that necessary? And then like after it happened, I was like, holy crap, that was actually very clutch. Because we were dying. Like the whole group was dying. Maybe one more tick of damage, everyone would have died. But luckily, I don't even think we got that extra tick. But here I am using basically all my cooldowns, which now that I'm watching it back, that's a little painful. But I know that this isn't a big pack, so we're not going to get a ton of bursting stacks at the end of this. But this chick is pretty scary. I mean, she's like the mini boss, and usually mini bosses are pretty scary. But I guess it is Tyrannical Week. But the other affix is, I forget what it's called, man. Why can't I think of it? Like Tangling? I don't know. Maybe that's way off. But yeah, we also have a lot of tools to deal with whatever I'm going to say entangling. I think it's entangling. Yeah. We have a lot of tools to deal with that. Obviously, we can just run out of it. And we also have Tiger's Lust, which right here we pull a ton of stuff. Luckily, I'm pretty sure not all of these apply bursting, but you'll see me kind of prep for the bursting anyways. But we have Tiger's Lust, which can remove that root from us anyway. It's not a root, but the root in the ground from being tethered to us. But we also have Chi-Ji. If you pop Chi-Ji, it also does very good because it just cleanses you every second of any ability, kind of like Tiger's Lust would. So it'll get rid of like roots and stuff. But you see here, we are getting pounded by stacks. But I really stepped back and made sure that there were the maximum amount of Renewing Mist out that I could in that instance. So I applied my 2 stacks. I Rising Sun kicked to extend those 2 and then to get a third. And then I pumped heals into a 4th person and just let all that Vivify Cleave kind of keep us up through that big stack scenario. But you'll see one thing that I'm really proud of this dungeon, which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, we are absolutely flying through this dungeon. Like, for this to be a plus 19, this group absolutely handled this dungeon. I believe we time it. Spoiler alert, which, you can probably tell by the timestamp or the time on the bottom of the screen. We timed this dungeon with like 13 minutes left. I mean, we absolutely handled this dungeon. And I don't know if that's because Waycrest Manor might be just known as one of the easier ones this tier. I don't know. I haven't really looked at like a Mythic Plus dungeon tier list. But if you were to ask me, as long as you have like a tank that knows like to pull these little dudes into the fire, like the mini boss into the fire, and as long as everyone knows the boss mechanics, I do think this dungeon is pretty easy relative to like the Dawn of the Infinite. Some of the dungeons this season are pretty hard. But some of them are pretty easy, and I'm a big fan of this dungeon pool. But you'll notice this is a plus 19, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a 9. It might be a 17, but I'm pretty sure this is a 19. And I've done a 20. I've timed 120 as of now, like recording this audio. But as of recording this video, I had done a plus 20, but it took like an hour and a half. It was a week 1 plus 20 with people that did not know the dungeon mechanics. It was a Dark Heart Thicket is what it was, but man, that was brutal. But this boss is very simple. Just as long as you kind of notice, like I'm noting that there's a tiny little crack between those 2 slime pools that I can easily move through. So you just want to know your quickest way from left to right. And then as long as you don't bait into the middle or bait into like, I don't know, not the middle and not the sides, but like that middle area, like where I just baited right there, that's a bad spot to bait. But you want to bait to like the very edge. So some of this little cone that he has is eaten by the wall. And that way you have more area, more clean area to move. But for the most part, this boss is very easy. I would say on this week it would get a little bit more difficult just because people like to pull a lot of enemies into this boss. So you could get into a sticky situation where bursting becomes an issue. But also entangling could become annoying if you need to move during the cones. But just save your rolls. Try to be very conservative with your rolls, or just save your Tiger's Lust, because it'll also make you not get slowed. Same with Chi-Ji. Chi-Ji's very good on this boss. So just use those if you're not struggling with the healing. What you see right here, I'm starting to kind of fall behind because that one guy got hit by the cone. But if you're not struggling with healing, don't be afraid to use those to help yourself stay alive with mobility. But yeah, you see here, like we kind of just handled this boss. I think this boss is very good for us too because of all the little ads to cleave off of. They're not super threatening. Like those ads aren't gonna kill anyone really, but they will kind of help you heal. So it's also one thing that I've noticed that whenever I watch a player's VODs, that you guys can always send me VODs on Discord. I review them all. Everyone that sent me a VOD, I've watched it before. But one thing I've noticed is people are kind of afraid to press cooldowns. Like you think, oh, these are my major cooldowns for major damage scenarios. I should not press Chi-Ji right now. I should hold it. I mean, it's my major cooldown. I should hold it. But no, that's why we take the minute cooldown Chi-Ji. That's why we have Shayloons on a 40-second recharge. You need to fire off those cooldowns and be comfortable with it. You'll have another one up in like 20 seconds. And you do a lot of healing outside of your cooldowns with Vivify Cleave. So just ramp up between your cooldowns and get good value. But here, speaking of good value, this is the opposite. I was just standing on a Phalanx, probably spinning crane kicking one target. But yeah, fire off those cooldowns because we have amazing cooldowns. But the best part about them is they're low cooldowns. They're low recharge rates. So don't be afraid to fire those off for more than just their healing, or if it's like medium healing scenarios. Because what if we were just on that previous boss and all that medium amounts of damage was coming out, but I didn't Chi-Ji, and then all of a sudden someone gets hit by the frontal when they're at like 80% health, then that's when someone dies. But no, if there's medium amounts of damage, don't be afraid to fire off something like Chi-Ji. But here, we're just killing these trash packs. We're killing them kind of one by one, and we are just blasting. I mean, look at these DPS players. We have an augmentation evoker and 2 enhancement shamans, and let me tell you, we are absolutely bringing the heat in this dungeon. It is dying so fast. But one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys while we pull this boss about future videos is I want to gauge your opinion. I have an idea for a little series that I want to do that I think would be very beneficial to new Mistweaver players. Give you guys a resource that I don't think exists. I try to make sure I'm not copying people. As you see there, I use Chi-Ji to immune the entangling, but I try not to copy people. So part of that is me. I don't watch other content creators that make similar content to myself. But let me know what you guys think of this. What I really want to do is say, let's just take like, Waycrest Manor here, for example. I want to run a couple of plus 20s on Waycrest Manor and say that I come up to a certain boss. Like say I come up to this tree boss, and on one of those plus 20 runs, I play it perfectly. But on like some of the other runs, I don't really play it, it's not really special. We kill the boss. What I would do is I would splice, like I would edit that perfect run on this boss and put it on like a little timeline, and then say that the pool after this boss on one of those 5 plus 20s that I do that pool perfectly. So I would edit that and put it right after this boss. So basically, if you've ever watched a speed run, you know that speed runners, they'll do something where they'll fake a perfect speed run, where they'll kind of speed run it like 10 times and then fake it by splicing it together to make like one super speed run, and they'll act like that's real. But what I would do is kind of like talk about, hey, I ran this like 5 times. Here were my results. We timed it 3 out of the 5 times. But what you guys are going to be watching is a spliced together run that I say I played the best on each given moment. So on each pool in this dungeon, here is what my best play looked like, so that you guys can kind of try to mirror that, as I just absolutely, like an idiot, let my preservation evoker die. Not preservation, augmentation. Just absolutely let him die. That was really bad. You see here, we are just... I'm still very inexperienced with this dungeon, but one thing I do know is the base mechanics. I know that those ads, those little fire ads that are walking toward me, yes, they are ads, as I let another teammate die. Those are two of, I believe, like 3 deaths that we let slip through in this dungeon. But those ads, they aggro, but they don't aggro like a normal ad. Like, you can't taunt them as a tank. They aren't aggroed by damage. How it works is they're aggroed by healing. So I'm pretty sure, like, as a tank, you have to be careful. Like, if our tank would have Word of Gloried, it could pull some of those guys into melee. But what you do as the healer is you kind of run out and just start spam healing to make sure that they come to you. And that's kind of why I did that. When your tank walks the tree boss over the fire puddle, he's going to do his little enrage. You have to be ready to do some big healing. So have Shalen's Gift ready, or Revival if you need it on a non-bursting week. And then press that button to heal everyone up, but then just start spam healing. Try to get those ads to come to you, and you should be good. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of that. Or the alternative is I just do a plus 20 of each dungeon and post it, which I probably would do anyways if I did that little series. But I could call that like a plus 20 Everbloom, and then like in parentheses perfect run or something like that. So what do you guys think of that? Or if you have little slight modifications to that idea, let me know down in the comment section below. You guys know I read all those comments, and I really am open to your suggestions. And in fact, if you go back and watch a lot of my videos have been your guys' ideas. Like, you guys, I always say you absolutely carry this channel, and this is just another way as I like to gauge your opinion. I do it all the time in Discord, so if you also want to engage with me more about this on Discord, feel free. I'll have that link in my description so you guys can, link up with me on Discord. Even send me a personal message if you don't want to have a big open discussion. But what do you think? Does that idea sound beneficial? Because in my eyes, if I were, once again, a new Mistweaver player, if I were to go back a couple years and start anew, would that series have helped me? I think so. I really do think so. What do you guys think? I'm very interested. But this dungeon is winding down, and we are just killing stuff so fast that if I were to do like a play-by-play commentary, I don't think I would be able to. We are killing it so fast that we aren't even seeing every mechanic in every pack. But I think part of that is what kind of differentiates a bad key or a bad group from a good group. And part of that, a lot of it comes from your tank healer combo. If your tank doesn't know what's up, and if your healer doesn't know what's up, I do think that's just an automatic bad time. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think my group is exceptional at these mechanics. We are hard CCing left and right. We're kicking all the important casts, and the little bit of damage that gets through, like all these little soul bolts, are so easy for me to heal because not that many of them are getting through. So huge shout out to these pugs. These were all pugs. The tank was amazing. Everyone was amazing in this group, so huge shout out to these guys. But yeah, we come up to this boss. Look, I don't really like this boss as much. I think it's like very basic. Like, if you look at the tree boss, it has an exciting mechanic. Like, oh, these ads, they require healing aggro. But this one is just dodge swirlies, move out if you get marked. I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of cool that we're fighting, what's this guy's name? Lord Waycrest, and Lady Waycrest is over there just like watching. And eventually she'll come out and we'll kill her. But to me, that's not exciting. I also don't like these timed dispel mechanics. There's a lot of those this season. Like, what's a big one? I think it's more Murikron's Fall, Murikron's Rise, whichever one. Murikron, you guys know what I'm talking about. The Dawn of the Infinite Murikron dungeon. That one has the clock boss, where like the whole room is a clock. There's like quadrants, and there's the dark quadrants and the light quadrants, and there's a dispel mechanic there in that fight, where if you dispel on a dark square or a dark tile, it'll do, like, let's see, it'll leave a ring behind that everyone has to kind of like jump over. Or if you dispel on the fast ring, it just does a nasty dot on that person. And I don't know, that there's already a ton of movement on that fight. It does seem a little brutal, but honestly, it's even not that bad. But this one is very annoying. And that dot does hurt. I mean, it really chunks your HP bars. But yeah, once again, shout out to these guys, because you saw there, my shaman had a defensive rolling. Like, kudos to these guys. But man, I'm kind of, at this point, I'm talking about nothing because, like I said, we are just flying through this dungeon. But I really, once again, I'll say it again, I love the sound of this dungeon, like how you hear that. It's not a piano. What is it? An organ? I think it's an organ playing like in the background as you kind of take on certain bosses, and you're kind of in this big manor and you have to fight through it. It's like a haunted mansion. I love this dungeon. But I'm excited to show you guys the new weapon that I got. Like I said, I've used it in this dungeon. I think I proc it like twice. I think I had 2 casts on it at the end of this dungeon. But yeah, I'm excited to show you guys. I plan on making a short of that weapon and just showing you guys just how much damage it does, because it is a stupid amount, like an insane amount of damage from a weapon. It's not even a trinket. It does more than Beacon to the Beyond or Beacon of the Beyond. It does so much damage. And you see there I use Tiger's Lust to get rid of the entangling on myself. And I'm sitting here thinking, do these guys burst? I don't know, and then here I get my answer. I'm like, oh crap, okay, we got to start planning. So you'll see here, I'll start mixing in some Rising Sun Kicks, I think. No, man, I'm just freeballing it. Oh, I have Revival. Okay, yeah, we have Revival. We're chilling. And as we come up to this last boss, I'm going to give a quick shout out to my Patreons. If your name's on the screen right now, you are absolutely carrying this channel and making a person's dream come true. So I think that's still so cool. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. But let's get back into the gameplay. We're almost done on this last boss. We have, what is that, 15 minutes left? Absolutely insane. But this boss is kind of just a walk in the park. When the ad spawns, you can pop Chi-Ji, cleave off of it, get extra Chi-Ji value if you need it. But he only has like 1 damage mechanic, and it happens not very frequently. So you can kind of safely use Shaylun's gift there and then just really pump the damage. Like, focus your damage rotation. Try to CC the ad if you can, and just do whatever you can. But just honestly, this boss is just a punching bag, and it's a loot pinata because this dungeon, it doesn't have like the best loot. Like, I don't think it has a notable trinket. I think it has like some damage trinkets for us. But for the most part, this doesn't have like the sexiest loot, like the Dawn of the Infinites, man. It sucks how much those dungeons have good loot for us. Like, I'm going to have to go and grind a Tear Stone. I need to grind the Leech Pants. If I didn't get the weapon from the vault this week, I would grind that weapon too, the Execute weapon. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in those dungeons, and it kind of sucks because I think that's like a universal least favorite dungeon is just both the Dawn of the Infinites. I see a lot of people queuing up for them, and not a lot of people, you know, trying to join those groups, because like I said, it's just not a lot of people want to run those dungeons, but a lot of people get stuck with that key for the week. But yeah, this dungeon is really a walk in the park. Has that been your experience? Is Waycrest Manor the easy dungeon this tier for you guys, or is it just me? Because, man, I was kind of afraid to push this key. And then I just ripped it, like, right at the start, like, right after I popped my vault. I still didn't know what my weapon did, really. I read it, like, I have the footage of this video right before I started the key, and I was just sitting there reading the weapon, like, how does this work? But yeah, you see there, we just make short work of that dungeon. Absolutely blasting. Let me know what you guys think. Is Waycrest Manor really this easy, guys? Or is it just me that I get a lucky group? Shout out to these guys. Shout out to my Patreons. And shout out to you for making it this far into this video. You guys are absolutely amazing. Once again, let me know what you guys think. Should I make that style video, or what do you think? How should I go about the plus 20s and trying to make educational, informative content? Make sure you guys like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care.